Hello, Captains. This is the Doctor. Welcome back to some more Star Trek Online. This is an Agents of Yesterday expansion video. I am here, well, actually, I'm not here in the 23rd century. However, I am in a 23rd century starship, as you see. So, since the last video, I did pretty much what I said I was going to do. I have worked with now a Tier 2 TOS starship, one of the ones from the promotion pack that you get, or the Temporal Agent pack, I should say, you get when you purchase that whole pack. Of course, you can also purchase these ships separately in the Z store, but I purchased the Temporal Agent pack, so I have all of them, the Tier 2, 3, 4, and 5 ship. So what I have done is, since the last video, I have been playing on this Tier 2 starship. And as you can see, I am now level 19. So I am almost ready to now equip the Tier 3 starship. But what this video is going to be about is to go over and explain my experiences flying this Tier 2 version of the starship that I purchased for the TOS faction. So I am here on my character, Ruby Rose, for the 23rd century TOS, quote, faction that Cryptic calls it. And since the last video, I had the utility cruiser. That was, of course, the Pioneer class. And since then, I upgraded my ship. Went to the Tier 2, this is Daedalus class, I want to say. I need to look that up to be sure. But it's actually called a Temporal Science Vessel, is what it's called here. And we will take a look at all the specifications on it and everything in a little bit. If you go to the Z store under ships, you will see it is the Tier 2 starship called the Temporal Science Vessel. Yes, Daedalus, I got that correct. Daedalus class science vessel. It is a temporal ship, so it does have some temporal abilities, or an advanced temporal ability that normal starships would not have, and naturally, if this were really a 23rd century starship, would not have that ability. But it has been a very good ship, working my way from level 10 to level 19. So when I hit 20, now then I'll equip the Tier 3 ship. This video is going to concentrate on this ship, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some battle with it. We're going to go to the Pico system here. I think this will have some space battle, at least I'm hoping so. It's a patrol, but I don't remember which ones are space battles and which ones are ground. Going by this picture, it looks like it'll be space. Hopefully it is. If it's not, then I'll do something else. But the goal here is I want to show you what this ship can do in combat and what it's like. How it operates, how it maneuvers, the weaponry it uses, the unique console it uses, and the temporal ability that it has. And then I will go over the build with you. I'm going to show you the current build I have. Again, I am only level 19, so keep that in mind. That means Mark IV gear is the level gear I have on this ship. And, then we'll look at, we'll go read the thing in the Z store. We'll go back to ESD and just, take a look at the configuration on it, see what we can do in terms of visuals. Kind of doing a backward ship review. My normal ship reviews start with going over all the specs first and then doing combat last. But I figured for these videos, you guys just might want to see this thing in action straight up, see what it's like, and then we'll go look at all the specs on it and see what my build is like and all that kind of stuff. So, kind of a backward ship review. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do for each tier ship that I try here on the TOS faction. So again, I'm on Ruby Rose, and yes, I finally got her uniform working. I'll explain how I did that. And when we go back to ESD, I will explain that. And again, level 19 now. Level 19 from where I left off was, level 10, I think. So I'm level 19 now. And, yeah, Temporal Science Vessel. Let's just go into this, and I will show you what this ship is capable of. There's a nice view of it. I've left it the default template colors and everything, so this is how it normally looks. Actually, I don't know if this is going to have combat or not. It says find ship. This may not have combat in it, but if it doesn't, I'll go find something else. Just real quick, the specs here. I'm currently sitting at a 17,457 hull, 5,932 shields. No resistance to anything yet because I only have one engineering console slot. I've got a 2.5 chance crit chance, 50% crit severity, that's default, and then 25% bonus accuracy. So it's got a pretty good hull strength. I mean, we are a tier 2 ship, but I mean a whole lot better than that tier 1 ship, that's for sure. 235% power transfer rate. My actual turn rate is 19.5 degrees a second, which is incredibly good. I mean, check this out, guys. A tier 2 ship, I'm turning pretty well. I mean, I'm turning better than that cruiser did, that utility cruiser, Pioneer class. So this thing has a pretty good turn rate as a tier 2 ship. It's a science vessel, so you typically would expect it to have a little bit better turn rate. So that's pretty cool, huh? Let's see what this thing can do. Hopefully we can find some combat here for you. This one may not have it. May not be in a good patrol for this. Tell you what, let's get out of this and see if I can find something better. I forget which patrols have the space. I can't go do the regular Romulan Japori ones yet because I'm not to the right level. Dang, you know, I don't know. I don't remember. I think Kinger might. To go to each one would take a very long time. Let's see if I can load up a mission I just played, like replay a mission. Maybe that would be better. I should have like prepared this before. Sorry, guys. What has some good space battle for me here? By the way, I'm up to Task Force Hippocrates. Skirmish is up next, so I'll be playing that. But I've played all the way up to Skirmish so far. Ships and Missions of Mercy.
There are more reports than usual about Klingon and Gorn attacks along the border of Federation space.
Which one should I do? Tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to pause the video here. I guess I should have done this before I started. I'm just going to pause the video and see if I can find a patrol that actually has some space battle in it. It's going to take me a while because sector space travel is very slow right now because I'm only level 19. But I'm going to fly to each system and see if I can find a good space patrol. And when I do, I will return the video. Does this one have one? No. Okay. Yeah, I'm just like literally gonna fly to every system, guys. So I'll pause the video and I'll come back when I find one. Sorry about that. I should have prepared before I started. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Here we go. I found a system. Donaya. Perfect here. This is Eliminate Gorn Forces 0 of 5. So this is exactly what I was looking for. A group of enemies to take out. So this will be perfect to show you combat in this ship. Now, let me show you a couple of things I will be using that are part of this ship. Number one, it has a unique console right here. It's called the Temporal Destabilization Probe. Targetable probe emits a PBAOE slow field. It creates a level 19 temporal destabilization probe that flies toward target's current location. To the foe, this reduces their turn rate, reduces their impulse speed, and it reduces their firing cycle reduction. When the target is reached, all foes within 3 kilometers also get 2292 kinetic damage. So it slows them, reduces their firing cycle, and it does kinetic damage to them. So that's really cool. That's one feature this ship has, that unique console. Came with it. Of course, it's a Z-Store ship, so all Z-Store ships come with a unique, console power like that. No passives, and it's not part of any set. So that's all it does. And then you have this thing here. This is the molecular deconstruction beam. This is because this is a temporal starship. So it has this futuristic deconstruction beam thing. It basically does a whole lot of physical damage to the enemy, ignoring their shields, and you can set different modes on it. So first of all, I have this offensive configuration. I get increased engine power, turn rate, flight speed. But my healing, incoming hull healing, is lower. But I get plus 10 max engine, plus 20% flight speed, and plus 20% turn rate. And it grants one offensive counter every 10 seconds while in combat, which is like, it's like a battery that fills up. And when the battery fills up, then I can do the molecular deconstruction beam. But there's other settings too. It has a defensive configuration, which gives me more shield power, more incoming hull healing as well, but it reduces my flight speed and turn rate. Then I have one called support configuration. It increases my aux power, exotic damage, or control expertise, but it reduces my energy weapon damage. So if I were a science captain, I might look at doing the support configuration, for example, if I want to boost my science powers, but my energy weapon damage will be down. I might want to look at defensive configuration if I'm a cruiser, but it's going to further reduce my flight speed and turn rate. And then the one I like really best is the offensive configuration. I think it's best because you gain max engine power and you gain flight speed and turn rate, making the ship even more maneuverable. And your only loss is incoming hull healing. That's it. So that's worth it. And once the battery fills up, I have selected it. As you can see, it's selected now. Once the battery fills up, then I can fire this molecular deconstruction beam. This targets the foe, does 2571 physical damage for 5 seconds. It ignores their shields, and the damage scales with the number of offensive counters consumed. So if all of the counters are consumed, it'll scale even higher. And it also gives me a hull heal every second for 5 seconds. And it disabled duration scales with number of support counters consumed. Self consumes all offensive, defensive, and support counters. I have used this thing on some real big baddies, like the boss fights that I have had in the missions, and this thing will rip them to shreds. It is really powerful, and I'm just in a tier 2 starship. So I have now enabled the offensive configuration, so now my turn rate is 22.1. Remember, it was not that high before. If I take this off, 19.5. With it, 22.1. So there you go. It increases my, I mean, this thing turns really good. I mean, it was already turning really good, but now, you know, I can turn even better. Definitely better than a cruiser, that's for sure. My configuration is I have a dual what's a beam? A dual beam bank up front and a photon torpedo, and then 2 beams in the back. You won't see the beams in the back firing because I like to forward fire a lot, but if I fire from the side, you would see all of them. Anyway, let's take these out. What I'm going to shoot at them first is the probe. Let me show you how the probe works. The temporal destabilization probe. I'm going to launch it. There we go. There it goes right there.
Target's shields have failed.
And basically, that'll slow them all down, and it will do kinetic damage to the people that are inside that, like, circle.
Ship is under attack.
Didn't do a whole lot, but a little bit. Now I can fire on them anyway.
Target's shields have failed.
See the battery building up here? Once it reaches maximum level, I can use it. So you see it is now maxed. I will be able to use it now when I target an enemy. So what I'll do is we'll come over to this group and I'll target an enemy and I'll use it, and you will see how much power this thing has. Let's take this guy here. Watch this, guys.
Warning. Ship
Look
is
at
under
that.
attack.
Look at that. Gone. All I had to do was shoot him once with that and he's gone instantly. Craziness, huh? Yeah, it's really good on the bad guys that are real tough.
Target's shields have failed.
My probe is ready to go again. Now, because this is a science ship, I also have sensor analysis. So you can see what that does, but science ships have this sensor analysis. I don't think the other ships will have it, but because it's a science ship, I have it. My counter is almost built up again. I wish I had a tougher enemy I could show it to you on because, well, you can just see it does a lot of damage.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed. Target's shields have failed.
Pretty cool, huh? My beam is working. I can use the probe. We'll use the probe on this group here. They're all kind of flying apart, though. It helps when they're closer together. When they're all flying apart like that, it doesn't have as good as that advantage.
Warning.
The closer they
Ship
are,
is
the
under
better.
attack. Target's shields have failed.
Look at that one hiding behind the asteroid. Okay, this is the last group here, so I'll use the molecular deconstruction beam again. Again, I wish I had a tougher enemy to show it to you on, but that's all I got for now. These are just frigates. But, I mean, check that out. Bam.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Gone. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, it really helps on the big boss ones, the ships that are really tough, you know.
Target's shields have failed.
So there you go. There's some combat with this. This is just a Tier 2 ship. Keep that in mind. Lieutenant Commander ship. A Tier 2 Lieutenant Commander ship. I mean, pretty good for a Tier 2 Lieutenant Commander ship, wouldn't you say? I would think so. Not very powerful. I mean, this is just a very beginner game ship, you know? I don't know if there's any other patrols nearby that I could get to that would have tougher enemies. That's the problem with being a Lieutenant Commander. You can't really go play the tougher enemies like the Borg or the other things that I want to do because I'm not the right level yet. But I can't really do a whole lot of STFs or anything. I've got Federation Fleet Alert.
On the front lines of the Klingon Federation war, brave captains from both sides battle to defend their homes and gain advantages for their faction. Each death has meaning. Every victory can turn the tide. These are the conflicts that will determine the fate of the quadrant.
Boy, I bounced off the star on that one. But that little bit of combat there is just to show you the capabilities and fun I was having with this ship, because that molecular deconstruction beam is quite useful as a low-level character. It's basically extra weaponry, and it is very powerful. Now, I believe the Tier 3, 4, and 5 TOS ships I will be using will also have this, because they are temporal ships, so they will probably also have the molecular deconstruction beam, so I will get to show you more of this. Once I open up the patrols, like, you know, the Romulan ones, and ones that have a little more stronger of an enemy in them, I will be able to show you this better in those, so stay tuned for those videos, because, you know, as I increase in rank, I will open up more patrols and more things I can do to show that off to you. But I believe this one, the Temporal Destabilization Probe, that's only going to be unique to the Daedalus class. So you're not going to see that on the other tier ships. That's just going to be on this ship. I've found it to be an okay ability, but not extremely useful. And that's because you really need a lot of ships close together for it to really work well and do that kinetic damage. So the problem is they are not always so close together, and it works on one ship, but you know, the whole benefit of it is that it works on several ships at once. So I haven't found it to be that useful. I honestly have found the molecular deconstruction beam to be way more useful than the destabilization probe. That's my experience in this ship. But I will say I have enjoyed flying this ship. Flying it from level 10 to level 19 now, almost 20. I'm going to do one more mission with it, I guess. And it has served me well. I will just say it has definitely served me well. There is it definitely got me all the way to where I am here. I have basically
we have reports of I expect you to be
don't want to do that right now. I have basically done Stranded in Space, Diplomatic Orders, Hide and Seek, Stop the Signal, Researcher Rescue, the Kuvik Mod, Treasure Trading, Secret Orders, Task Force. I've done all those missions on this ship, and it has got me through all of them with no problem. Haven't had a problem once. I have not exploded or blown up once. I was able to take out all the enemies that are thrown at me, Klingon, Gorn, Orion. I was able to take all of them out with no problem. And this deconstruction beam thing really helped me. Again, this is a Tier 2 Z-Store ship, the Temporal Science Vessel Daedalus class. So I have very much enjoyed flying this ship as a Tier 2 ship, leveling up my 23rd century character, Agents of Yesterday expansion. Let's go down to Earth Space Dock and take a look at some other things on it. I'll go over my build, show you what I've done to it, or what I've put on it anyway. As you can see, I got my costume working. The lighting in here is not very good, but yeah, check it out. I got it working. And what the problem was, guys, is I was trying to slot the outfit in the off-duty uniform slot. What I needed to have done, and I didn't realize it, was to create a new costume slot, a new costume creation, and then add it there. I'll show you here in the tailor, in case this ever happens to you. But your very initial, like, uniform that you start with is actually, well, this says off-duty. That's stupid. It didn't work anyway. The point is, this is the one I started with here. And when I would go to modify, load outfit, when I would go to load the costume I had loaded, you'll see that it doesn't load everything, so it didn't work. But when I created a new slot, when I did create and created a new one, I'll do it again. I can do it again, in fact. Just create a new one and then go to my thing and load it up. Then it loaded everything just fine. So that's what I had to do. I just had to create a new costume slot and then it worked. So Yeah, pretty cool. But that is the look I have for her. For all those that guessed this was Ruby from Ruby, you are obviously correct. The problem in the tailor is I can't make her as short as she actually is. I also cannot really get the face perfect. And I wish I could do better on the face. I don't think the face really looks that great. And she's a little bit taller and bigger than she should be. But, you know, there's not much I can do about that. Very limiting with what I can do in the tailor. But I think I pulled it off somewhat, I would say. And obviously the uniform is nowhere close to what she obviously wears in the show. But I mean, that was, I knew that part was going to be impossible anyway, because it's not like they're going to have her clothing outfit options in here. So I just did the best I could. If you're wondering what parts I'm using, I am using a Talaxian panel skirt is what I'm using for that. The Talaxian panel shirt and skirt, I should say. I'm using the Talaxian panel shirt and the Talaxian pants or skirt, Talaxian panel skirt. So that is what I am using. So yeah, and a utility belt. Even though she doesn't really have a utility belt, it was kind of the closest thing I could find to having something where you would connect a scythe to on the back of it, you know. And then of course the high boots and the color scheme, you know, obviously. And I wish I could get a hood and a cape. Really, that's the only thing that's missing here. If I just simply had a red cape and hood, would totally sell the character way more. But obviously, I don't have that and can't get that really on the Federation. Klingons can have capes. Why can't Federation have capes? I want a cape, darn it. So that's really the best I can do on this outfit for right now, unless I come up with any other ideas. But I just wanted to show you guys that, because that is the final look of my character for now, and what I have been using as I'm leveling her up. So there you go. Y'all can have fun with that. Let's go over my build. I will show you what I've done. Just come into a quiet area here. I have on this ship, what I have put on here is a dual phaser beam bank up front with a photon torpedo, all Mark IV, of course, because that is the highest level I can put on this ship right now. I'll be able to put level 6 when I hit Commander. I have a positron deflector. This improved my shield healing, starship hit points, and shield hit points, so that helped me a lot, and resistance to shield drain. Just a hyper impulse engine with speed on it to fly a little bit faster. I put a field stabilizing warp core on with sector space speed increase, so I could travel faster in sector space, because you know how terrible sector space travel is when you're flying at only warp 5. So I definitely wanted to travel a lot faster in sector space, so I got one that's called sec speed there, and that increases your sector space warp travel. Shields, I have a covariant shield, so it's the highest shield capacity. It had a capacity and a reg modifier on it, and a Tetrion resist. I really didn't care about that, but what I wanted for sure was a cap and a reg. And then in the back, this is interesting. A lot of people mentioned this in the comments. I appreciate it, and I definitely did this. I did go ahead and get the Constitution class from the Z store that I had purchased just a long time ago. I already had the ship. And I took the weapons off of it, because see this little infinity symbol here? This means these are auto-leveling weapons. They will level with you as you level in the game. They don't have a max level. Their level is equal to whatever level you are. So they auto-level with you. So these will be very beneficial to have on the back of my ship at all times, because I won't ever have to upgrade them. I just keep putting them on every ship I get, and they will level with me. And then up front, I can just go ahead and put like a dual beam bank, which I really like to have on a beam ship. So that's probably what I'll do on the next ship too. Then I've got an EPS here. I also got a maximum shield capacity console to increase my shield capacity even more. That helped me to not die. And then it's just some, phaser relays to increase my phaser damage. They're uneven, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money. And that is basically the gear build on the ship, and it allowed me to, be very powerful as a Tier 2 Lieutenant Commander Captain in these missions. I was able to get through all the way to level 20 here almost just fine with this gear. In terms of stations, I have changed my Starfleet bridge officers quite a bit since the last video. I was able to claim my new android. I have 0718, which is from the Kelvin timeline. He's on the Kelvin Enterprise. I have him because I have the Temporal Agent pack, and he is part of that pack. So I was finally able to claim him and put him on my ship. He is a science bridge officer. He's also on the ground for me. He is a ground officer as well. Then I was able to claim my unique Borg bridge officer female, liberated Borg bridge officer, that I've had forever since I first started this game. It's one of those things, I bought like before the game even launched. So I always have that as my engineering bridge officer. I kept Tarsi because she is a very rare bridge officer, and the others were not. So I got rid of the other bridge officers, but I kept Tarsi because she's very rare. So I wanted all very rare bridge officers, and you'll see all my bridge officers are very rare, except the Saurian. But then I did get a Saurian, and I got one specifically that has, go to her traits, efficient. So this is a plus 7.5 Starship Warp Core efficiency, improves power levels when low. I love efficient Saurians, and I like to have several of them as my bridge officers because of that ability, and it does stack if you have more of them. So I have the Saurian. She's ugly, so I just put her in a Section 31 uniform, and covered up her eyes, and that's the best I can make her look. And she is, of course, a tactical officer for me. This is a universal slot, but I used it as a tactical slot. I got Beam Overload 2, Torpedo High Yield 1, and Tactical Team 1. For Science, I got Science Team 2, Tractor Beam, and then I have Emergency Power to Weapons on my engineering. And that's kind of my bridge officer setup, and that has worked really well. For my traits, I have been keeping up on that. I added, for the ground, since the last one you saw, I added Resilient, which is a physical and all energy damage resistance, and then I added Accurate on space. And what else? For my skills, I have been continuing to level up the skills, of course. I've got hull capacity maxed out in engineering. I have all my tactical. I got energy weapons and projectiles maxed out for maximum damage, and I maxed out accuracy as well. Then I maxed out EPS and full impulse energy shunt. And from there, I'm probably gonna go when Commander opens up, do something different. Not hull plating, not that. I will probably do one of these because this is critical chance and critical severity. So I want to increase my critical chance and severity. Let's do some damage, this is my main character on ground. I've got a Mark IV energy harness right now and shield. I have the Mark IV Type 3 phaser rifle. That was a mission reward. And I have the auto-leveling Type 2 phasers from the TOS bundle that I've had forever. And then I put a better kit on as well. I've got an engineering kit with K-Perf that improves all kit modules by plus 11.2. And I put on here a Seeker drone and a Fuse armor as my engineering kit modules for right now. So that is my setup, and all my bridge officers also have Mark IV shield and armor, just common right now, because obviously everything's going to be changing at every rank. The next rank will have level 6 stuff when I hit level 20. So, you know, each one will increase at that point. Let's go real quick into the ship customization, and I'll show you what you can do with the Daedalus. There really isn't much, but I'll just show you anyway, so you are aware of what customizations there are. Customize ship, starship. So here's the Daedalus. Now you can make it look like the Nautilus if you have that purchased. That's a 26th century ship, based on the same type of ship, but you can run that skin if you want. Wouldn't make a lot of sense, but you could. Here's what you can do. You have the Pioneer Bridge, so you can't change the bridge, and it is the Pioneer Bridge. You cannot change windows. You can change the material. So, like, you can put type 0 is the default one, but you have a type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think this one's kind of cool looking. I almost used this one, but didn't. If you've ever upgraded a ship on your character or your account, you'll have this upgrade skin as well you could use. And if you're a veteran like I am, you'll have a veteran skin you could use as well. I kind of like the veteran skin as well. That looks really good. But I went with the default skin just to get that classic TOS feeling out of it. You can change colors and pattern on it, of course. Block 1 is the default. And style, again, it's either Nautilus or Daedalus. And that's pretty much all you can do, so there's no mix matching of parts and that sort of thing, which is unfortunate because I wish you could customize, you know, the parts on it, but it's very limited on what you can actually do in terms of parts. And that's pretty much it. Let's go read about it. Like I said, we're doing this whole thing backwards, which I didn't really have a format planned for this anyway. I'm just winging it. I'm winging it. That's all I do. I'm winging it. Let's go to Tier 2. Temporal Science Vessel, Daedalus. Make this bigger. A starship designed from the early years of Starfleet, the Daedalus-class science vessel still serves with distinction. With strong shields and a powerful sensor suite, the Daedalus class is well equipped for missions of research and exploration in the final frontier. Temporal starships are capable of making subtle alterations on the molecular level through the use of molecular reconstruction. This technology allows the starship to assume one of 3 different configurations: defensive, offensive, and support. Each configuration has their own strengths and weaknesses. Each of the configurations generates their own specific counter. Up to 6 counters can be generated at a time. These counters are used to fuel your molecular deconstruction beam. So we went over this already, but the defensive configuration will dynamically reconfigure to fill more of a defensive role. This provides a boost to maximum shield power, hull healing, comes at a cost of flight speed and turn rate. Offensive gives dynamic reconfiguration for an offensive role. Provides a boost to engine power, speed, and turn, but comes at a cost of incoming hull healing. Then the support configuration is a support role. You've got auxiliary power, control strength, exotic damage, comes at a cost of energy weapon damage. Then you have the molecular deconstruction beam. Activating this ability requires a total of 6 counters generated by those things. In addition to healing your hull over time, this power's damage scales with the number of offensive counters consumed. Its hull, basically went over all that, is very good. The Temporal Science Vessel comes equipped with the Temporal Destabilizer Probe Universal Console. While the console is equipped, the starship can deploy a probe that travels forward slowly. This probe disrupts the flow of time of any foe who is within 2 kilometers of the probe's path. Affected enemies will have their flight speed, turn rate, and weapon firing cycles reduced. So that's that. It's got plus 15 power to aux, subsystem targeting, sensor analysis, the secondary deflector, which I don't even have a secondary deflector on it, but I forgot to mention that. It does support a secondary deflector. The temporal destabilizer and the molecular reconstruction is what this thing's all about. So yeah, I forgot to show that, but it does have a secondary deflector because it's a science ship, and it has that. So that's nice. I didn't use one here because I looked at all of them and none of them really benefited me at all. And I didn't need it. Not using it didn't hurt me at all. But it does have it, just for your information. That's not what I want. I was going to go to the shipyard and see if it can show us any specs on it here. Lieutenant Commander. Here it is. Yeah, here you go. So this is just a brief overview of the specs on it. 2 forward weapons, 2 aft. 13,199 hull is its default, and I'm at 17,000 with my buffs. Shield modifier is 1.32. That's a pretty high shield modifier for a tier 2 starship. A pretty high shield modifier. Base turn is 16 and device slots 3. So that's what that has. And then of course an ensign tactical, ensign engineering, lieutenant science, and lieutenant universal. So that's the temporal science vessel. Again, my experience is leveling from level 10 to almost 20 now. No problems with the ship. It's been a great lieutenant commander ship. Again, I'm an engineer, and it's a science ship. That did not cause a problem at all for me. It operated very well, and with the hull buffs that I'm using, my hull strength was very good, and it has a high shield modifier anyway, so it's a pretty tanky ship. I mean, it's not a cruiser. It's not going to be as tanky as a cruiser, but as a science ship, it's a pretty tanky ship, and it's probably a lot better than the base game tier 2 ships, you know, the non-Z-Store ships. So if you wanted to purchase that ship to play as a lieutenant commander, it's a good ship. I do recommend it. No problems with it. I'm actually happy about the ship. Was it worth the purchase? I don't know, because I kind of zoomed through Lieutenant Commander. I did it in like a day. So really I paid for a ship that, you know, I only used for like a day or two. So I don't know. That's probably not worth it, but I guess it's worth it so that I could show you guys what the ship was like. And then you can determine if you might want to purchase it or not as you're leveling up a character, that sort of thing. So that's going to be the end of this video. The next one will be the next tier ship. So I will go to ships here, tier 3. The next one is going to be the, I don't know the name of it, Perseus class. That's what I'm flying next, the Perseus class. It's an escort. I'll be flying that as my commander ship. So when I hit 20, I will put this ship on, and I will get it all set up. And then when I get to about level 29, right before I hit level 30, just like I did on this character, I will make another video and show you battle in that ship and explain and go over my opinions using that ship as a commander. That'll be my commander ship. But I want to use it first so that I actually have some input and feedback to give you guys about it, just like I did with this video. So that's going to be that. Pretty much just however much time it takes between now and getting that character, or getting that ship leveled up and this character leveled up to that level, will be the next video. Probably be a couple of weeks, to be honest with you, or maybe a week. I don't know. Just depends. We'll see. But it just, when I get there, I'll make a video. So you know what to do if you want to make sure you don't miss that video coming up. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.